Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with Golden Opportunities Coaching. Welcome to those of you who are new. Welcome back to those of you seasoned veterans of what we do around here. What we do around here is we give the majority of advice we can on a variety of psychology, sociology, and coaching related topics. Please feel free to reach out if it's helpful to you. We've got over 400 audios for you to check out on a variety of topics, and so hopefully something that will benefit you is here. And if you'd like to reach out and work with me, there's two ways to do that. And go to the About Me section on this page, and the link to my website is there. But also, you can go on Twitter at PO Perception and contact me or my team through there, and we can make that happen for you. In any event, there is a benefit to the concept of what we're going to talk about today. What we're going to talk about today is kind of the idea of things that may be holding you back from meeting a suitable romantic partner. I know there's a lot of people that believe in the concept of the one, and after working with over 15,000 people in dozens of countries, I wish the concept of the one was out of Hollywood, because I think it does more harm than good to search for the one, because who a person is today and who they are tomorrow and who they are next week and who they are a year from now and 5 years from now and 10 years from now and 50 years from now, they're going to be different people. And the ability to grow with a person and redefine and reassign and reassimilate and reagree to compatibility is the important thing. Now, if you are a person who believes in the one, why are you struggling to find that person in your life? And so there's about 5 or 6 things I want to run through here that may be contributing factors to why you're having that difficulty. And it can be and hopefully will be useful for you. So the first one is you don't have enough self-love. So I tell clients all the time, and I work with people all the time, and one of the first things I say to them is you can't give someone else what you don't have for yourself. And so if the love that you want to receive isn't equal to or lower than the love you give to yourself, there's absolutely no point. If you are expecting another person to fill the voids within you, the relationship may start hot and heavy. It may even last for a few years, but sooner or later that person will fail to be what you need, because if you don't like your own company or you don't like yourself, eventually those dissatisfactions of self will rise to the surface and play out in your relationship, and that can cause a history of negative relationships or bad habits, which make it harder for us to meet someone of greater value. The next is the timing is off. So there's 2 ways that timing can be off in terms of finding a long-term partner. The first is you don't have the time to put into a relationship. A lot of people, kind of live the fantasy that, oh, I'm just going to randomly meet somebody in a coffee shop or online or at a party, and then they're going to fall for me and I'm going to fall for them, and there's no time to put into it. Well, that's not how relationships work. They might work that way in a 90-minute movie, but they don't work that way in real life of development. And so if you don't have time to put into somebody, or if your time's already spread too thin because you have other things that need your responsibility. For example, I'm dealing with debt recovery right now, and I couldn't put time into a full-time relationship. Maybe a year from now, maybe 2 years from now, I'd have the time to dedicate to honoring a relationship. I don't have that time in this moment. Getting to know somebody, sure, but a full committed relationship isn't where I am. And so you may have kids that you need to dedicate yourself to, or an elderly parent, or scholastic endeavor, or your career, or whatever that is. Be honest with yourself and say, where does the majority of my energy and time go? And do I really have time to treat someone the way I would want to be treated if they were serious about me? And if the answer is no, it might be time to re-assimilate where a relationship of a committed nature fits into your life. The next is you're attracted to the wrong type of person. So, from a spiritual perspective, the people we attract into our lives are reflections of ourselves, both positively and negatively. And so what that means is if you've got friends or a potential partner that's good for you, they're a sign that you see the good in yourself, and they're a reflection of that good in yourself being kind of radiated out into the world and then coming back to you, bouncing back like a boomerang. However, if you always or almost always, because nobody always or never, but almost always end up in the same type of relationship, whether it's with a needy person or with a person who's unmotivated or with a person who has some of the same mental or emotional instabilities or illnesses, or with a person who's very cheap, or with a person who's very money minded, or whatever the case is, it's a reflection of how you view the thing that you're attracted to. Remember, we cannot attract what we don't believe is possible. And so, one of the most dangerous things that a person does is, I want this, but I believe that. And if those two things are opposite, you'll always get what you believe, not what you want. Because your energy goes more towards your beliefs than your desires. And so that creates kind of living out the same pattern over and over again. And the next one is also kind of equal to it. You may be reserved because you've been hurt before. You may be reserved because you don't want to waste your time. You may be reserved because you're socially uncomfortable or introverted or awkward, or you have social phobia, you have fear of rejection. There's a million reasons you may be reserved. But if you're not ready to risk, then you're not ready to date. If you're not ready to lose and recover, you're not ready to date. In other words, the reality that you connect with a person is much smaller than the reality that you won't connect with them in the way you intended. So, having a good relationship with rejection, or needing to step away from something as being not what you needed or wanted or imagined it to be, is something you have to be really comfortable doing before you put yourself out there. Otherwise, what happens is the fanciful thinking of, oh, I can change this person. Oh, if this person starts to care about me enough, they'll change. Or what is just as damaging, the unspoken expectation. So, if this person loves me, they'll always want to spend every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday with me. Okay? If that's my standard, but I never express that as being the standard, and then I get upset because they didn't somehow, by osmosis, read my mind to meet my standard, that's my fault, not my prospective partners. And so, finding a way to get beyond reservation, that the idea of a person knowing what they want and being able to know what you want without expectation is there, but also you have to be putting oneself out there in any social interaction, even for the most confident, together, self-assured, self-loving person, does come with risk. And if the risk isn't worth it to you, it's better to stay on the sidelines for a little bit longer until it is worth it to you, because otherwise you're just going to do more damage to yourself in the long run. And I've got to grab my phone, but we will be right back in 2 shakes of a lamb tail. And so the next thing is, if you live in the past a lot. And a lot of people don't understand how traumatic a breakup can be, or the loss of the illusion of what a relationship was can be. I say the loss of the illusion of what a relationship was because most of us, during the honeymoon phase of a relationship and then the building phase of a future, get into a honeymoon phase and building phase where we ignore the incompatibilities we have with a person, the things that maybe are, things we don't really like about them, but we think we can cope with long term. I know that having been in 5 longer term relationships, I can look back and say there were 2 partners that, if I'm honest, I was never compatible with to begin with, but I looked past some in both cases for several months to years, things that just were never going to fit. And ultimately, I think we all do that if we're living in the past, or we're doing the compare and contrast with a former partner. It can be problematic. The last thing, which I think is something that is propagated in Western society a lot, is the idea of the perfect partner. Guess what? It doesn't exist. Now, perfect for you and perfect for each other does exist because two people can carve out through communication and commitment and learning each other's love languages, they can carve out a perfection that would be unique to them. But a perfect person who fits every quality you have, you're setting yourself up for failure. Now, unfortunately, I think things like Disney movies and romantic comedies that have this alignment mentality that it just sort of happens that way. Not to mention a lot of Hollywood scriptwriters who write stories where there aren't problems driven or that every problem can be overcome. A lot of that creates this illusion of the perfect person, and that illusion is damaging in the long and short term for both genders. Anyway, hopefully this has been helpful to you. Until next time, keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment. Till next time, everybody.